Hi, friends. It's been a minute. It's Jessamy from Lit Crush here to tell you what I've been up to the last few months. I've been writing. I've been writing a lot on my novel. Um, I just recently had a meeting with my teacher where we looked through the entire manuscript, about 48,000 words, not quite the size of a whole book, but close, and then a bunch of scenes I had deleted. I looked at the story as a whole with her and we talked over what was working and what wasn't. And, you know, I'd gotten the impression I was pretty close to being finished with it. I was so excited. And then as I read the book, its tone had changed quite a bit from the beginning to the middle to the end. And I realized that I needed to take the humor and sort of the playfulness of the first part of my book and bring it into the middle and end. Yeah. To balance out the hard issues. This is a book about a medical emergency. It's a book about cancer. It's a book about survivalhood, and so it needs a different touch. And so that means I have a lot more writing to do, new material. This was a little bit of a blow. I'll be honest with you, but also it's a real opportunity to kind of expand my skills with humor and with creating characters that push the edge of reality and make you laugh. So, to that end, I decided to try some new methods of writing this month. So, typically, I'm a word warrior. I get on Word, I type right away, I edit as I go, I edit every day. It's often hard to keep track of how many um, different versions I have because it's constantly evolving. But I realized that this was leading to a lot of sort of short, choppy scenes. And so what I decided to try was to buy a nice pen. This is a great little pen. It's a brass Kaweco. It's a Japanese company. Where did the writing go? See if I can get it. Kaweco Brass Sport, it's called. Sorry. And I love a fountain pen. I'm just a big fan. We have a really good art store nearby, and a bound blade finish notebook. I think it's Korean. Korea and Japan are really killing it in terms of paper and pens at my art store. And I started writing scenes by hand in my book um, in an effort to just keep the ideas rolling, keep a through line. And I filled about half of this little pamphlet book. I don't know how many words that is in real life. We'll see. I have to type them up still. But what it's I think helping me do is to just sort of write and stop editing and stop parsing word choices and just get into what are some possible new subplots for my book. I have three sisters in my book: Natalia, Izzy, and Paige, and I have kind of they're starting to develop interests. So I have one sister, the oldest, that's kind of serious artist. She's a studio arts major. And so I'm exploring what she might be doing outside the hospital when she's not visiting her sister. She's a college girl. And then I have Paige, who is a young doctor to be, like one of those kids that knew she wanted to be a doctor since she was a little kid. And I have, of course, Natalia, my protagonist, who's the main character, who is the one that's diagnosed with leukemia. And they're very quirky and they're very funny, and I'm working on making them more quirky and more funny. So so we'll see if this technique works. I'll let you know. I have till the end of the month to write up my pages and see what I have. But it's kind of interesting. I have this world built. I have a general story. I have a beginning, middle, and end to my book. But now I need to sort of enrich it from the inside. And so I have to admit, it feels really good to be just writing scenes again and not just editing and revising. Editing and revising a whole book is kind of exhausting. It's a big project and you have to hold a lot of things in your head at once. It does feel good to be down to that just simple moment by moment scene writing. I like that. And I'm getting better at it, I think. So, in the meantime, what am I reading? This is Lit Crush after all. Well, I'm back to the masters. I am listening, not rereading, but listening to Anna Karenina. This is the copy I have, but actually the copy that I'm listening to is read by Maggie Gyllenhaal on Audible. She does wonderful. She does the French um, language stuff. She does really good job coming up with different voices for all the many characters. And I think she's reading the Constance Garnett translation. It's on Audible. It's something like 40 hours. It's actually a really good value for money. I think it's in the $30 range, but you get like days of it. And I just put it on when I'm doing the dishes. I put it on when I'm knitting. I always knit to Anna Karenina. It just goes with Anna does some knitting in the book too, and crocheting. He apparently knew the difference. So recommend as always Anna Karenina, any version, any format you like. Now, my more challenging read is Proust. I've been reading through all the Proust books, or In Search of Lost Time. This is volume 3, The Gourmand's Way. So this is him as a young adult, climbing the social ladder. You know, the the Paris upper classes in the late 19th century, but he wrote the books in the 1920s, so it has a little bit of narrative distance between the author, the narrator's voice, and the young Marcel, who is the first person point of view. This is, you know, more of his genius, all the little granular details of day to day life in society in Paris at that time. Uh, you just go from one character to another's point of view very fluidly. It's just become the part of my reading life. I have dropped it a little bit lately because life has gotten more busy with the end of school, but I just still love it. And sometimes it's hard to read when I'm not focused, but overall, it's just a joy. Just I'm looking forward to just continuing the series. One day, I think I will reread it in the Scott Moncrief version because that's the version that um, has been the standard in the States for a long time. But it's fun. It's always fun to read a new translation of something. That's what gets me into some of these old books. And then finally, this is one that I started. I haven't gotten very deep into it, but I was sort of interested in the Himalayas for a while. I was watching movies like The Last Emperor, and I was watching 7 Years in Tibet. I read 7 Years in Tibet, which was really interesting in the context of the recent Dalai Lama scandal. um, and Erika Fatland is a Norwegian writer. I think I've talked with you guys about her book called The Border. She travels solo, and she writes about what she sees in these more remote countries. And this time she's going around the Himalayas. She started in Western China, which was cool. This is like the area where the Uyghurs are from. And she talks about the very, very difficult conditions they have. You know, their faith is pretty much squashed, pretty much like they're not using their mosques the way they were intended. They're more like tourist destinations. Their prayers are stifled. It's quite a grim look into life, day to day life in the remote Islamic parts of China. And then she travels into Pakistan on a highway. So I'm really enjoying this so far. She's a great writer. She has a book called Sovietistan. She has The Border. She has High. Um, she's just an excellent travel writer. She talks to people, individuals on the way. Most of it isn't planned in any way, and she tries to give you the texture of her life in all these countries where it can be quite hard to live. So recommend Erica Fatland. Yeah, so just keep me in your prayers. Keep me in mind as I try to write my next chapters. I'm a little nervous about how to proceed with the book. It's kind of like I know it needs more, but I'm still discovering what that is. I'm trying to surprise myself as I write. That's what my teacher always tells me, let yourself be surprised. So think of me, send me your well wishes. Tell me what you're reading. I want to hear what you're up to this summer with your beach reads, your easy reads, your hard reads, your audiobooks. Tell me everything that you're into right now. And I've missed you guys, so please comment, like, and subscribe, as I always say. And thank you for watching Lit Crush. We'll see you next time.